Hit me with a hot dog, Ted.
I want you to eat 50 hot dogs at once.
Don't you dare
threw
cut
a hot
that
dog
out.
at you.
Don't you dare cut that out of the...
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning in. You all right?
Yeah.
Did I scare you?
Well, yeah.
Oh, God.
You should be used to that by now.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast. Drew, Sherb, Hunter in the house.
Hey.
Today we are talking about the two storms that we got hit with yesterday. Storm number one was what? 18 inches of snow in some places? Foot
I
and a
was getting
half?
like 3 to 6, and I got like
78
18.
inches, I think.
78 inches of snow.
It's a lot of snow.
I cleared like almost a foot of snow off my truck twice.
I couldn't believe you got out of the parking lot.
How did you guys get home?
You specifically, Hunter, with a 2-wheel drive. How did you get home?
I wasn't as buried as
You
you
were
'cause
driving
I
a
got here
Matchbox
later.
car out there.
God, I had 4-wheel drive. Subaru.
All right. Fair.
Yeah, I think I just parked late enough that it slowed down, and I did have to do one or two rock back and forths, but not nearly as many as earlier in the day. That was an extravaganza.
That
So,
parking lot was crazy.
I have really big news. Wilbur spent his first night outside of our bedroom last night since we rescued him.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did he stare at the corner?
has. So normally our dogs only eat at night,
Good doggy.
but because he's on antibiotics for his mouth surgery, he has to eat in the morning. So he wakes up just ready to rock in the morning, like comes around the corner, starts barking at you. But because he's old and special, he thinks it's time for breakfast basically every 2 hours at night.
Good doggy.
Sounds like Hunter.
Same, yeah.
That's why Hunter's not allowed to sleep in our bedroom anymore. So we
That's a
put him
different reason.
outside,
Give me-
and dude, I mean, I'm sure people listening have heard Frenchy noises on the internet, but
Oh, yeah.
this guy, oh my God.
Snarf, snarf.
5:55 a.m. this morning, just like yelling.
All that? No,
Yeah, oh yeah, he was yelling in the hallway. And we did the I'm like, don't go out there. Don't go out there. It's going to make it worse. And
No
then like
fucking way.
the fifth time she went out and got him.
So you like normally sleep
Wait,
between you?
what?
Like you two?
He didn't go into the room, or you kept him out?
We kept him out of the room,
Okay.
completely out of the room. But like, this is the first time that we've done it. Because when you get rest, because we have two,
Yeah.
you're supposed to keep them separated. So that's how it started that he slept in our room, because like all of our dogs snore like in a way that is not okay for sleeping. But we just had to get used to him doing it. But now that he asks us for breakfast every couple hours in the middle of the night, we had to push him out there. So, yep.
Hey Siri, remind me to text Drew every 2 hours asking for breakfast.
Please do. All right. Storm number 2 was the announcement of, I mean, I can't even say what the announcement was of. We'll get to it here in
The
a second.
21-week competitive fitness season.
Yes. It's one of those things where, I mean, we just talked about how like programming for the open is challenging but fun. Same kind of concept here. Like, we immediately yesterday went to the whiteboard with the marker and filled up an entire wall of like, what does this mean? How can you make it from this place to this place? And then what do we do about all this programming that we wrote that now slides all the way to like August and potentially nowhere. But 2020 is going to 2020, right? And I think
It's a good thing we already have practice in this.
yeah,
this
we have a
regard.
lot of practice. Like, I don't think there's really anything aside from them being like, I think we're done. We're going bankrupt. I declare bankruptcy. Like, unless that happens, I don't think they can throw anything our way now that will fuck with us any more than
Only
it already has
unexpected
been.
thing is Rosa comes over here and just kicks all of us in the nuts and then walks out. That would be the only thing I wouldn't expect.
I don't know.
Now he's gonna.
At this point, I'd be like, all right,
Jokes,
fine.
it's actually just Castro comes over and does it.
Yeah, that makes more sense. All right. So the way that we, had our little like pre-production meeting, talked about what do we know and what do we don't know. So the first thing we're going to do is just lay out a quick little list of what we know about the season and then kind of go back through it. And then probably more importantly, more fun, more exciting is for us to pretend like we know what's going on for the back half and talk about the possibilities of where this could be going.
We know less now than we did before, quantitatively. Now we know where everything goes, but we
Now
have
that's a
way
rabbit
more
hole.
questions about
It is.
each
That's a
individual
rabbit hole.
thing.
We know more about what we don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
I'm confused.
So
The more you
what do
know.
we know? We know that the Open moved to the week of March 8th, that it is 3 weeks long, that there is a new quarterfinals format that takes roughly 10% of the open in terms of the leaderboard. That begins the week of April 5th after a 1 week break for individuals. Then there's another break, we think. We don't know necessarily whether this is a 1 week situation. We assume it is. We assume based on things like team series, age group online qualifier, all the online things that they've done, that sometimes, you know, it's either one workout on a Thursday or your weekend of workouts. So that's our guess. A lot of assumptions here that sort of live in the gray area of what we know, what we don't know. We have another 1 week break and we go into teams, which is now the Affiliate Cup. We have theorized that potentially they're using that week break, if it exists, to let people know, hey, you can go team or you have qualified for the individual semifinal. I think that's one of the big things here, that like, does Eric Rosa coming in as someone from a data collection place and from, you know, he's been involved in Silicon Valley and, you know, Boulder's sort of like Silicon Valley, whatever, version 3 or 4 or 5, like, does he have a really good idea for how they're going to validate all this stuff? Because they're going to have to figure it out quickly after the open for that 10%, then quickly again if you're going to have the opportunity to say like, okay, I didn't make it to semifinals, but I'm going to go team instead. So I think we're just kind of hoping that he's a lot more qualified than anyone else that's ever been around for that. That's, you know, data collection and sorting and all that is kind of his background as far as I understand.
And I would think too, based upon the past history, that's one thing that's been, you know, sort of a dragging on long, slow process with CrossFit, that typically we're like, all right, we've sort of figured out who the people who are the top 40 are going to be. And now we're going to take a few weeks to kind of sort things out. So it kind of makes sense that someone that's data driven like that might have a better way to, you know, synthesize this data to actually get it out. And
I just think we don't know what the idea is. So it's hard to wrap your mind around. The old model was so bad that like, you just hope that it's not like Hunter. Yeah. Hunter doesn't like situations like that. His brain just goes, nope.
I don't like how, so it says on their site the week of 4/5, April 5th, which is a Monday, which insinuates that this could be like a full week thing. It could also just be like workouts come out on Thursday and you have through the weekend, just like the open, to do multiple events. I just don't know if there's enough time to turn around, get all those videos.
Right. So that's why I'm saying that there has to be something that we're not seeing with how they're going to validate.
Yeah, they might be going on a weekly basis versus at the very end.
I mean more so that it means that you choose, you're an individual or you're a team. You don't get to go individual and then jump into a team.
We'll get
depending on your place.
We're going to get to that place. Right. So another week after the Affiliate Cup version of the quarterfinals, and we have the age groups. We have masters and teens. We do not know if this includes the new adaptive division. All we know about the adaptive division is that they're working on it for that 3-week open. Beyond that, we're not really sure what happens there. Yep. We're also making the assumption that based on some somewhat confusing wording, that the age group will be done at that point. You either qualify for the games there or you don't. In the quarterfinals,
assuming that they will not have the in-person semifinal.
And I think that makes sense for this year. I would still love for them to really kind of keep that door cracked, to have that moment for, you know, the age group to go to semifinals. I think that an event of that caliber is one of those things where you can really plant the seeds, especially for the teens, to be like, oh, wow, like this is what this is like, I'm in. Because if you can only go, this tiny group of people can only go from this place to this place, again, I think you weed out a lot of people, you weed out a lot of motivation. Like I remember specifically like the driving force for, we did the YouTube video on Max Bragg back in the day. Like he basically said that was one of the best weekends of his entire life. Yep. Like he was not a like true competitive CrossFit athlete. He's just gifted and tough and, put it out there and he went, but then he exactly. So that really stoked the fire for him. And I like the concept of a teen being able to live that experience, a larger group of them live that experience worldwide, because I think that plants the seeds for the sport growing in a massive way, as opposed to in your gym.
How many years do we watch someone who routinely crushes the open, in their own gym, in their own perfect scenario, then go to an in-person event and typically struggle? And does that always mean that the person who does well in the online qualifier is the person who is going to do well down at the games. I mean, typically like the 1 or 2, maybe they stay right at the 1 or 2 at the games, but a lot of times you'll see that leaderboard flip-flop quite a bit. So how do we know these
you add more filters and you just make sure you're getting the right people there.
Yeah, it's more of a iterative process. You get to the right people to compete at the right stage at the right time.
I don't think it's also not ridiculous to say, so we'll get to it, the number of in-person semifinals. And when you multiply that across the number of athletes that are going to attend those in total, I don't think it's unreasonable to say, let's think back to kind of regionals back in the day. There's 4 heats. The bottom 2 heats, typically not, those athletes are typically, you might see one of those top 10 athletes drift down there because they have a bad
Those
event
are your
on day
semi-professional, minor league kind of farm system.
It would not be, I don't think it would be ridiculous to cut out those 2 heats of individuals and you have 1 heat of age group athletes and 1 heat of teen athletes or something. And I realize that's a little tricky because there's so many different age groups within the age group division, but
even if they started small, it would be an advancement, right? Because if you're only taking 10 and you multiply that out across, if you have more than 1 person go, then you're doing better than you were already.
Like, hey, top master from this division from each regional goes to the games, and you still have a pretty large pool at the games.
Truth. So we have a 2-week break after the age group quarterfinal, and then we start the in-person LOL 2020. We start the in-person semifinals. That is 10 events across 4 weeks, with the only real thing that we know is that someone from each continent, not each country, is going to qualify for the CrossFit Games. That's, sort of filtering system is going to allow for that to happen. Yeah. Now, exactly how that works, we have no clue, but we'll get there. We have something that I think is both smart from a business standpoint and exciting for athletes, is the last chance qualifier online competition. I think Rogue Fitness sort of set the standard for the fact that this could be pretty cool and it could be done right. I don't know that anyone's going to shell out the cash that Rogue did, unless Rogue's maybe the title sponsor of the last chance online qualifier, because I'm pretty sure that the $3 trillion that the government just printed probably was printed at Rogue and just kept in the vault there.
Just manufactured there, and they manufactured the vault and put it in there.
Yeah. So that's the week of 628, and then we go to the CrossFit Games week of 726. So it's back in its spot there in that final week of July into August. The other 2 things that we sort of already touched on, the Affiliate Cup is back. There's going to be some version of, you have to be from the same gym. What is the fittest gym? Now, obviously, with the amount of money in the sport and the amount of money that certain companies have in the sport, this may or may not be the Affiliate Cup. You know what I mean?
Gray area Affiliate Cup.
Exactly. But I mean, hey, if you want to move your entire life to a spot, I guess that's
well, correct me if I'm wrong though. We don't know if there's a delineation between the Affiliate Cup and the potential super team. And I know we're going to get into like the things we don't know. We don't know if those 2 things are different. Like could there be like a super team division versus like an Affiliate Cup division? Like affiliate athletes.
So we talked about this in the podcast after Eric Rosa was on Talking Elite Fitness, and he said people want the Affiliate Cup back, but super teams are really good for the sport, right?
Yeah.
Like it would be really weird if the NBA had a division where like you had to be born in this state in that major team, but then there was also, the Golden State Warriors once James Harden gets traded over there. So like, I don't know. I get both sides, but he said the sport needs both, but I think he had an out there. Well, he has an out anyways because he's CEO and he can do whatever he wants. But he also had an out there where he said, we want to keep working with a lot of these other partners like a Dubai, these other sanctionals where it's obviously not going to fit into 10 events. So we're going to have this 6-month period where super teams can go around the world and compete for, 6-figure prizes. So did he mean super teams need to exist within the CrossFit Games ecosystem, as in you can win the CrossFit Games as a super team? We don't know.
Sounds kind of interesting, though. You could have like 6 months out of the year where these high-level individuals who want to potentially make some more money or just do other events could go and compete on teams, and then half the year they're back focused at being an individual and they have that Affiliate Cup, so these 2 things coexist. So that could be an interesting way to keep people interested in CrossFit 24/7, because obviously that's something they definitely care about, is that, you know, right now in the past, we've had the Rogue Liftoff, Team Series, these other events that kind of keep people interested in competitive CrossFit outside of the normal season. Like, that's got to be something they're thinking about day in and day out, is how do we get people interested year round versus small little bursts around certain parts in the calendar. So to me, that could be an interesting way to make that happen.
Yeah. Adaptive division is back. We touched on that really quickly. I think it was important for him to say what he did about bringing the Silicon Valley concept of speed of iteration is more important than quality of iteration. Paraphrasing a little bit there, but there's just the concept of let's get it on the books and get it on the books and do the best that we can and then fix it as we go along, versus let's figure out how we can make this perfect without ever actually doing it. You know what I mean? Like, so I like that concept. I like that he put that out there. I just hope that people that are involved with it understand that that's what they're trying to do, because, you know, we have someone here at the gym, shout out to Sydney. We have someone doing the SugarWOD Open right now.
Right.
And there's a lot of divisions. There's a lot of, you know, certain standards that they've put in to try and maybe take two different situations and make them into one. Yep. Like there was one with, you know, you had to choose an arm for maybe like dumbbell snatches or something like that.
Yeah, it was dumbbell, like hang power cleans.
So there isn't going to be this perfect way to do this, but it's exciting that it's there.
Yeah.
You know, the more you diversify the sport, and, you know, to my next point, the more that you have attention across both sections or domains or different, you know, groups of people and long periods of time. Yeah. Like, those two things together are really important. Like, what we just said was the Opens moved to the week of March 8th. And basically we got shit going on all the way through July 26th, the week of July 26th. That is, you know, it's not half of the year, but it's pretty close.
Very close.
It's pretty close to half of the year where, you know, the idea of the economics makes a lot of sense to me. We're in this room, or in our new studio, which will be coming at some point. We'll be in here doing this stuff, and we'll be doing, you know, videos of how to be better at this and better at that. And, you know, stuff like that brings in sponsors, gets more people interested. So I really love the concept of having people's attention and having this season type format that really allows for us to kind of settle in and have our thing that's going on for that period of time. And we already know how obsessive CrossFitters are. So that other 6 or so months of the year is, you know, it's in a really important time for people to hunker down and work on certain things. But we almost have like the year split in half for us right now. And we have our traditional, you know, phase type structures and periodization in the 6-month off season. And then we have, you know, sort of a true GPP method where we're tackling everything as we go along, to go down through the actual in-person season.
To me, it just feels like things kind of flow naturally like they used to years ago. Like, one of the biggest changes to the 2018-2019 season was like, hey, you can qualify and go to the CrossFit Games, I don't know, 364 of the 365 days of the year if you go to this event or that event. But it didn't feel like it had a logical order. And that was obviously an issue for athletes, figuring out, where am I going to fly? Where am I going to peak? Where am I going to compete? All these things were kind of just up in the air. I mean, there's still a lot we don't know, but
they're still floating.
But to me, it does feel like it has a little bit more of a like logical flow to the season versus like, hey, there's the Open, but there were 2 months before that, there were sanctionals you could go to. There 2 months after the Open, there's sanctionals you can go to. It just feels like it has a little bit more of like a step-by-step path, kind of something he alluded to on that Talking Elite Fitness podcast, is that it like made logical sense. And for someone coming from the business field and someone who's very interested in data, it kind of makes sense that he would want it to go in that similar format so athletes can understand how to prepare themselves best for the season versus kind of being always ready for anything and not really knowing where they're going to go with it.
Also kind of cool that the Open is... It's kind of 5 weeks. It's going to be 5 weeks for a lot of people. There's you've always got the athletes at a gym who are just your normal, like, hey, just here to have fitness. Like, oh, what's the Open? We do this on Friday. Perfect. Like, done. 3 weeks later and it's over. It was a good time. And then you've got the athletes at the gym who are like, no, I'm not going to the CrossFit Games, but I do enjoy like competing a little bit. And a lot of those, by the sound of it, we know that it says approximately 10%, which is a pretty fucking big number of individual of individuals, that means a lot of people will get almost like kind of like Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, like the conference championships, then the week off, and then the Super Bowl, and you'll get to have those athletes who kind of care a little bit more about the performance side and then can throw down kind of in that individual quarterfinal before kind of the season really trims down into the semifinal. I
don't know if you saw the Morning Chalk Up article, but it was just like, I really like the fact that it's 10%, not like 1% or 5%. They're like, formerly with regionals, it was 0.3% of people who were fit enough to go to this next stage got to keep playing. Now we have a much larger slice of that pie to be excited about a longer season, which to me just makes it more fun.
That flips the switch. Exactly. I mean, it's a little watered down from what I was saying with Max, but like it's the same concept. You know, someone that didn't think that they were super into it might have just been a little bit guarded. Like, well, I don't really want to put myself out there in this way. But I mean, that amount of people, you're essentially looking at everyone who the open workouts are appropriate for. Every single one of those people will move on, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do we think the 3-week open is actually a thing? Is that the 2020-esque thing? Is it can be whatever they want because they're going to do it and then see how it goes? Like,
I think it'll be. Yeah, I mean, you might see like a workout with a part A, part B or something like that.
No, so I mean what happens in 2022, because they sort of alluded to the fact we're going to start a little bit later, maybe more people have the vaccine or whatever, and then we're going to shorten this down. Do we think that there's going to be a 3-week open next year?
Yeah, like potentially did they knock 2 weeks off the open to give people 2 more weeks to play in for COVID logistics?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't think that the COVID logistics or not, like, I think this makes more sense. Maybe they move it a little bit to the left next year, so it starts more like in the end of February timeframe. Yeah, but I don't think.
It's funny, we were talking about you a little bit yesterday with this whole like season change. It's like when people come to the gym and they're super excited about the open, the ones that are excited, after like a week or two, that excitement starts to wear off just based upon how they did. So maybe they did crunch the data and said, hey, around the 3-week mark is where we start to see a major drop in participation. So why not incentivize people to try to earn the right to keep playing and make that, that pie slice be big enough that a good chunk can actually participate? And that would be the, how do we get them to buy back in? Oh, guess what? You get to do these little bit elevated workouts, and maybe it's a little bit heavier, a little bit more complex, or just has some sort of allure to it that's not just, hey, this is 2 more weeks of light thrusters and pull-ups, but it might be. We don't know.
I think it'll stay. I think just kind of playing to what we know. I think it would stay 3 weeks. It allows. It's much easier logistically, and they mentioned this for gyms, but I think 5 weeks where everybody can compete means that every single workout needs to be. Like the equipment requirement and all that stuff needs to be taken into consideration. You trim that down a little bit. So instead of a class of 30 people doing it, you have maybe a special event at the affiliate where it's, and you have to assume that there's going to be multiple events in the quarterfinal. If there's only 3 open workouts, and assuming that they don't do like 2, like you have the weekend to do 2 workouts, right, which I don't think they would do for affiliates. The quarterfinals will have to be the place where there's 2 or 3 or 4 events, kind of like age group online qualifier-ish, that require the equipment that we've seen in the past. Like age group athletes are expected to do rope climbs. We saw them introduce the GHD sit-up in the stage 1 of the games this year. So I think that allows them to incorporate more equipment to make sure that they get the right athletes to the semifinals. So, and the burnout of kind of the, like, 5 weeks is a long fucking time to do every Friday, organize the heats and all this stuff. And you're right. People get just like, fuck, is this over yet? It's like literally have a party for the end of the open. Yeah.
I'm honestly kind of thinking back to during, I want to say it was like April or May when they did that online thing at the, CrossFit put out some sort of 1 weekend or 2 weekend thing. You remember the online
to raise the money?
Yeah, money for the gyms. But like, I do think that there was some experimenting with the idea that, hey, if we put a workout out that's you have 1 single dumbbell and a jump rope, can you get a good test of fitness, and can we use that potentially for people who can't go into their gyms currently? Because there are states that might still be under quarantine where you. They
also did say they're going to include workout, like the kind of an at-home modification. Yeah. So I don't know what that'll mean. I don't imagine that'll qualify somebody for the quarterfinals necessarily, but
So I was thinking like the workout
far
might be
as-
something you could physically do at your own house.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have to get a judge to come to your house and wear a mask and do it all, be safe type of deal. But like you could, in theory, have someone come to your house and judge you through 10 rounds of 10 single arm dumbbell thrusters with a 50-pound dumbbell and 30, double unders or something like that. That could be the first few tests just to make sure people can participate as things are starting to, vaccines are getting out there and people are kind of settling into what the season actually means this year.
I still think 3 weeks gives the chance for the largest and kind of like highest energy participation. Like you said, after 3 weeks, probably people are just like, I don't care about week 4, I don't care about week 5, and it's over. And then if they were to go back to a 5-week open, you also just extend the season at least 2 additional weeks, if not more.
Yeah, and I think you're right about pushing it left. If they do decide to go back, they probably push it 2 weeks earlier because I think they did originally try to, be around the idea of like, hey, it's a new year. Here's could be something that your gym could rally around as like a, a New Year's kind of challenge. Like, hey, guess what? We got X amount of weeks to get ready for the Open. And as we start to push later and later, just because of 2020, like maybe next year they push it closer to the new year. So it does keep that like feel. Because I know that Eric and Dave both alluded to, like, we wanted this to be something people were excited about with a brand new year. So we wanted to put it kind of near the new year.
It's going to be interesting is how they is it 10%? Obviously, CrossFit HQ ain't reviewing 10% of videos. Who?
But I think that's exactly the same as. It's even more so like because there was no video review back in the day.
Yeah,
Glassman was basically just like, if you want to cheat, you're going to get embarrassed at a certain point. And I think with a number like, the lowest possible is going to be something like 15,000. The highest possible is going to be like 50,000.
Yeah.
So like a number like that, I don't think that they need to necessarily have it perfect for that round. The problem is that many people then being reviewed in the next round, and we're gonna talk about how we don't even know, do you take in 1 point and I take in 27,000th? Do I take in those points to go, or is it reset? Because we've seen both in the past with the age group online qualifier.
Yeah, nor do we know if it's going to be one leaderboard, and I don't know if we're going to get down to it, but where do I register? Am I registering? Right. What region am I registering for? Does it even matter until maybe Open weeks 1 through 3? There's just a worldwide leaderboard, and then it's like, hey, congratulations! Based on your performance, you were in the top fucking 600,000. You now need to like re-register and choose your region because you have the potential to move on to the semifinal.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, I think now's a good time to play. I'm the captain now. Like, I'll read out what.
That's fucking Tilly time, boys. Let's go.
I'll read out what we don't know, and then we'll start to really get into this. All right. So what we don't know, and obviously there's more to this, but we've used some ideas that sort of encompass the entire concept. So we don't know exactly how many people qualify for quarterfinals. Roughly 10%, and even more so considering there are 3 separate quarterfinals, right? So we have the age group, we have the teams, and we have the individuals. We don't know how that all gets seeded out, right? So like to Hunter's point, how would a team qualify? Like, did you designate that is it just the gyms, the aggregate, and then they yank stuff out? Anyways, we'll get there. We don't know the affiliate cup details, including geography for sign up. We don't know the rules for how often you would have to train in the gym with someone. Do you really need to move there? We go on old school, training logs, and you train a month a day, and there's spies that are
on your driver's
reporting
license.
to you, and Sherb doesn't get to compete at regionals because of a joke I told one person. That actually happened. True story.
Too soon still.
And then the
2013.
I don't know. It's so
that
fucking
team,
long ago.
actually, it's too soon, though, more for Gabe than you. So Gabe went to regionals, and then they got disqualified based on not being able to finish a workout day 1, and he didn't get to do anything because the first side was the women's Diane.
15
and
or 16?
Gabe was going to go out there and go unbroken, strict, easy, and he didn't get to do anything. LOL.
Poor guy.
The elephant in the room is super teams, right? Like, where did they go? Do they still exist? Do they exist at the games? You know what I mean? Like,
they were wildly popular. What are they going to do with that? Like having this thing where
yeah, we gotta. Yeah,
sorry,
we're gonna go through to make sure that we don't stop and then lose a few things. But I've got a lot to say on that topic. Quarterfinals format, length, how many workouts there are, if the scores carry over. Semifinals, we know literally nothing, right?
They exist.
How many athletes go? Where are they? Where do the athletes go that do qualify? How are they seated? All that stuff.
The seating thing's going to be interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, we'll get to
Last chance qualifier, is that based on an aggregate of everything? Everyone's favorite thing back in the day was the dude that crunched the leaderboards to tell you how you would have done if all the regionals were together. Is it something like that, or is it like we pick? Can they just pick people? Remember the old school thing? Like,
Hey, you're kind of fit sometimes.
well, they invited someone to the CrossFit Games 2 years ago.
Yep.
So we don't know. We don't know how you would get to that. But again, from a business standpoint, from an attention standpoint, from the standpoint of keeping an athlete into it all the way through, I love it. It makes a lot of sense to do that. Okay, so how many people qualify for quarterfinals? That's an interesting topic because it really has a lot to do with what I think would be appropriate for workouts going forward there, right? Because like the age group online qualifier workouts are much harder than the open workouts.
Way harder, heavier, it's more complex.
Like 185 shoulder overhead and muscle ups, like things of that nature.
That's a good time.
That was a good workout.
Yeah.
Because you could do okay with it by standing around a lot. So
Use blocks, guy.
don't worry about it. So yeah, I mean, there isn't a ton to say about that.
No, I think it's a combination of attention span, logistic requirements, and kind of kicking it off. I don't think they're going to put.
What do you want it to be though? What do you guys want the quarterfinals to be?
To me, I think what they did for the age group online qualifier is a perfect way to figure out the next iteration. So you have the work capacity we looked for in the first, handful of weeks, the first 3 weeks. You get your week off, chance to recover. Cool. But when you go to the CrossFit Games, you have to do more than just small, shorter, light couplets and triplets. You have to be able to go in and move, heavy objects and do some things that are a little bit higher skill. So to me, what they did in the Masters and the in teens thing in the past, where they had 245 power cleans and sets of 30 chest to bar pull-ups, like that to me is what those athletes at the highest levels, the ones you want to go and watch at the CrossFit Games, need to be able to do. And they need to find a way to do that before they're in person, because sometimes the in-person thing is prohibitive to certain athletes. They don't have sponsors. They don't have the support system. They need to be able to go someplace. So providing the opportunity to prove that they belong somewhere without having to send them, halfway across the world to do so or find a way to sneak in, to me makes a lot of sense.
I say fuck that. I say give people a schedule of when they have to put their workout scores in. I don't like the idea that almost every online qualifier is here's your batch, good luck. I don't like that.
Or they just keep the leaderboard private.
Exactly. Like it would be really fucking cool. It would keep attention on that. It would keep everyone kind of rolling through. Monday your workouts announced. You could even announce all of them, but it would be, if it's bang, 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 are you really going to slide one of those other ones in there? So I would really like the idea of like a week-long online competition. I'm okay with it being the traditional Thursday through, but I think having a score due per day or two per day, whatever it is, I just think that weeds out, the person, because that's what you have to do to a certain extent at semifinals, even though they could be repeated workouts like they were with regionals, but definitely at the CrossFit Games. You're trying to find the fittest person on earth. I want to know what your first score was.
I think that's necessary also from just an execution standpoint. You give it
would certainly make it easier. Yes,
because ultimately there aren't going to be that many athletes who move on to the semifinals. That's going to be your 1%, 0.1% of athletes who move on. So you need to make that kind of as fair and equal as possible. So it's, hey, it is one workout a day. We need to see a video in our inbox no later than this timestamp, or you're disqualified, that sort of thing. And then the workout gets released the next day so that everybody has to do it in the same order.
Well, one thing that, Dave's alluded to in the past, and, having read his book, he likes the way that the weekend flows over the entire thing and how one thing plays into the next, Yeah. So if you really do want to stick to that true, unknown and unknowable methodology, if you are forced to go in a certain order under a certain time, you create that that element that was now missing because you got to now prioritize, hey, my strengths are these workouts. I'm going to do these ones first because if I don't like, I can go back and do it again, or I can do the ones I like least first so that I had a chance to do them a second time. Like, you don't provide that opportunity for someone to kind of game it that way.
Right. I think that we might be trending towards that. I'd be excited if we were, because, I don't want to say anything too controversial here, but the age group has been the stepchild for quite a long time. Now that individuals are there, they've never done something like that with individuals. Because when you're doing the open, like, yeah, you can repeat it. Sure, that's fine. Torture yourself, get 6 more reps. But like, you had to do it in order. This is what it was. It did play into something. Yep. There was a method to the madness. Hunter and I had a good time breaking down the online CrossFit Games version. How does this, holy crap, you got to do this, and then you got to do that. How are you going to feel? Okay, we're talking about workout strategy, but you had boom, boom, boom leading into it. So you can tell that he's into that, and you can tell now that Dave actually has, this is his thing. Logistics wise and everything, they're going to team up.
They gave him the keys finally and said, you can drive the car, versus like, I'll tell you where to go with these keys kind of thing. It's what it feels like, at least.
Right. So that's, to me, like, I was trying to think going down through all these things prior to the podcast. And to me, it would be really cool to see that, as opposed to, here's your batch of stuff, do each one 16 times, do it whatever order you want. We'll see you in a week. Like, keep some attention on this day after day. Then you can have, more update shows, and we can make Ted stay up till 1 a.m. exporting videos. They're like, fuck you guys. Sounds great. All right, Affiliate Cup. We're going to move on to that. What do you guys want? 4-person teams or 6-person teams?
4-person. I think it opens up the door to be able to do more things, and I think it's more realistic for people trying to organize. Trying to find 3 other people versus trying to find 5 other people is a much easier thing, and I do think it provides the opportunity for a better level of competition. Because in the past, when there have been 6-person teams, there was always like that 1 or 2 individual who was still very, very, very fit, but clearly not at the same level the other ones were, and I think that does create logistical issues and make for events that can be a little bit more blah versus
the problem is, we don't know, like, what's the balance that they're striving for here. They're trying to get more people involved, or do they want the teams to be better? Because they're bringing the Affiliate Cup back, so it's like, okay, I'm going to get 6 people from each gym. That's more exciting for those people, but then the product out on the floor isn't as good.
True. No, I think they'll stick with 4. They talked about kind of why they went back from 6 to 4. 1, it's easier logistically as far as programming workouts. There's a lot more unknowns just with 2 more people. 2, there's not that much. Okay, you add 2 people to the roster. Like, to me, that's not like a step towards more, like, kind of inclusion. We're including 50% more people. That's not that many though. And then 2, it's just the visual aspect
of
hideous. Seeing a 6-person team. It's just like,
what the fuck's going on?
It's like a concert.
Is that guy on? Yeah. It looks like the floor at a Rage Against the Machine concert. It's a fucking shit show. That would be sick though. I still got tickets from that.
Was that last year that one that got canceled?
Yeah.
Run the Jewels and Rage
August.
Against the Machine.
Yeah. June, July. Oh yeah. No, I'll be good. Games will be over. See me at MSG with fucking.
I'm going to be writing Hunter Rage Against the Machine programming rage phase.
Gonna bulk up.
All right. What about the super teams? Like, I do not think that when they say the Affiliate Cup is back, they're going to be super lenient and let people do whatever the fuck they want. That would get a lot of people's hopes up. Your like old school regionals athlete, and then completely deflated, and your customers aren't as interested as they were before. I just don't, from a business standpoint, it makes no sense to get a lot of people excited and then go, just kidding.
I think they have to have 2 separate. There's like an affiliate team, maybe Affiliate Cup. Maybe those Affiliate Cup athletes can go to the semifinals. I don't know. I don't think that they'll go to the games. I think that that's where the super team is.
Personally, I really liked that when they had the sanctional thing, they made.
I don't know what you mean. Explain that.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Do your thing, Hunter.
I'm saying I don't think that Affiliate Cup. I think they're going to branch off. There's going to be 2 team divisions: an affiliate where it's like truly like these people work out at the gym. They like live, and maybe they have to like.
You're saying the Affiliate Cup will have 2 divisions?
Yes.
Okay.
One is a super teams division. One is a true Affiliate Cup division. The super teams can go to the games. The Affiliate Cup athletes will get cut. Their season will end at some point. I do not think we'll see like the affiliate cup athletes at the CrossFit Games.
They might.
I think they already said that though. I
that they
think
won't or that they will.
I think they will.
See, I was thinking that maybe they use the open, the way it's written right now, to figure out the affiliate teams, and then potentially, like they did with sanctionals, make teams that want to compete on super teams go to in-person events, because there's something that's like lost or not there when these like 4 individuals just work out in their own gym together, get a great open score, and then we're like, all right, we're on a team together and we're going to make this the way we run things. I really like the fact they had to go somewhere and show that they can work as a team and compete, and it wasn't just about how their individual performance then led to them to put those 4 scores together and say, all right, we are the one that qualified for the CrossFit Games. There's some element of being in person that I really, really loved with the teams.
Yeah, I mean, the iteration of the format is nice. Yeah. The problem is the best part of the last CrossFit Games that were in person was the super teams.
Yeah. 100%.
Like that was the most exciting part of the CrossFit Games. The programming was excellent. The way that they had them out on the field was excellent. It was great visually. You had, the stars of the sport sprinkled across the teams. There weren't that many teams where it was like 4 5-star recruit heavy hitters. It was, you
think back to like
one of those and like 3/4 of that. I don't know. It was the best iteration of the sport visually, aside from, those moments where you get the individuals really battling it out, like inside in the Coliseum or something like that. But in terms of an entire thing, like if you were going to say, whatever, my favorite sports thing ever was the 2014 Stanley Cup, playoffs or something like that. Same concept here. All the way throughout, the whole thing was really exciting and I think really, really good for the sport. So I don't know how these things exist together. I'm just hoping we don't understand what the fuck is going on yet. I really hope that they don't get rid of them at the CrossFit Games, because I thought that was the best part of the CrossFit Games. And no offense to the teams that will come out of affiliates, but they're not going to be as good.
Yeah, there's just some element, and again, this might just be like a little bit of nostalgia. It's like great to see the people that you started watching still be able to compete and be relevant, and that there's a new generation like kind of pushing the old guard. Like, hey, we were the ones that used to run this thing as individuals, and maybe we decided that the individual lifestyle wasn't something we could, withstand, and so we're going to move on to team, but we still want to be involved. But I could see the writing on the wall as this like last year of the in-person CrossFit Games is that there started to be sort of like a distribution of talent, like you were kind of alluding to. It wasn't just like 2016, I think back to like when Hobart and Froning and all the team, they won every event by a mile. So by Sunday, no one cared. It's like, all right, who's coming in second? Right. But then we went to the last year, they had CrossFit Games. The thing was entertaining up to the last second. Like we didn't know who was going to be first and who was going to be second. And that element of not only a great like test across the weekend, but just the idea that it's interesting. And unfortunately, the men and women's race right now is not that close at the top. Like 1 is 1 for both, but there's still some element there. And it'd be nice to have the opportunity to see these athletes still have some way to compete, as well as potentially enticing people to, keep the sport entertaining, because it is really fun to watch to see what those teams can do, because they're not just one person. It's the interaction and how they work with one another that makes it, interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a dance between how many athletes do you want to be interested and how many fans do you want to be interested, right? Yeah. Like the rug was pulled out from under the sport when regionals went away, because again, your farm league athletes, to use, sports reference, like they're gone. Yeah. Like they just don't, where are they supposed to thrive? Where are they supposed to go? Do you want them to go off to, Gridland or whatever? Like, what are they supposed to do? How do they get from point A to point B? Yeah, they could go to some of the sanctionals and everything, but it's really just not the same. So, I mean, that's obviously why the open numbers plummeted. Yeah. Because people are like, I don't know if I care anymore. So it's great to have more people care, but then I don't even care if you're looking at it from an economic standpoint or just, the spirit of the sport itself. Like, more fans, that's a bigger number. It's a much bigger number. That's a lot more people. So I get why they would do it, but I hope it's not at the expense of the fans getting to see those people compete with each other, because it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking back to the years
watching
of
CrossFit can get pretty boring. And if I'm saying that, what does someone else think?
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have a horse in the race. I mean, we talk about this all the time. And what makes this exciting is to be able to help athletes, and then to see the athletes that you've helped kind of go out and do their best, their best weekend. And, the weekends of traveling all over the fucking United States and then, international to see different regionals was super exciting, and it gave people a reason to like stay invested. So to me, like, bringing that back and having more opportunity, both, again, affiliate cup, getting kind of excited about it, is like thinking about back to years ago where the entire gym would go to the Northeast region and like cheer on the 2 or 3 people who were at the gym who would compete. Like, that's exciting, but so is super teams and so are individuals. So like, can we find a way for these ecosystems to all coexist and for it to be fair? Because like you were kind of alluding to earlier, like no one wants to go watch, your affiliates heroes go get waxed by the professionals in the sport. That would be like, signing up for the Olympics and just getting roasted in the 100. Like, cool, I signed up, but I didn't really mean anything. So having meaning for more people is exciting to me.
Now, scores carrying over. This, like, you both want to see it happen, but then also, are you really going to... I got 30,000 points.
Oh, it's so tough because they should be rewarded for doing their best in the first stage, but can it be so much poison that you just have no chance to make a recovery? I mean, years for Masters.
Can you put enough, too, in that? Can the quarterfinals be enough of a test to decide within just 1 week who goes?
Yeah, that's not an easy thing to say. Because
again, really cool that you're grabbing the attention of that many people and getting them excited. But like, is it all for naught?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because hopefully they're going through and figuring out, because they can't. Let's say it's 30,000 people, so 30,000 people advance to the quarterfinals, and like they get seeded. Whatever your points were, 1 through 30,000. I have 30,000 points. Obviously, that person probably had no intention of qualifying for the CrossFit Games, but we saw this in the age group when they kept the scores. The 200th or 100th, the 100th fittest person in an age group had effectively no chance to crawl back in and get to the games. And even like,
and that fucks up the competition itself. And because if you throw them a fastball and they're only half in it, they're not going to create the sort of, competition that you would want there.
But numerically, that might be different with such a large pool of athletes. I don't know if it will be, but we saw it just, again, 200 athletes or 100 age group athletes. If you were seeded 1 through 200th athletes started with 200 points, you might as well have not competed. Really, only like the top 30 even shuffled around a little bit. So you want to have some sort of mandate that they do well in the open, or there has to be some sort of reward for doing well in the open and trying. But I don't know. I think it'll really depend on how the Indy qualifier start. Kind of those events shake out.
Right, because it was already scary for athletes. You got 5 weeks. 20% of it is this huge monkey wrench in the gears for you. What if the quarterfinals don't even have 5 events? You know what I mean? Yeah. Then it becomes 25%, 50%, 30%, whatever. Like, if this isn't a workout that you can handle, and, we could get into whether that matters or not. You should be able to do all of the workouts well. We know that. But if you whittle it down to too few tests, you're not going to get the right people.
No, you need more tests. The more tests, the better the product will be on the field, the better it will be at finding the actual aim of all of these things, which is finding the fittest person, whether that's in the world or in an age group. All I was going to say to what you were going on with about the age group, Hunter, is that maybe there's a way to weight scores, that open score is, instead of 30,000, if you're from, 1 to like 10,000, you get a 10, you start with 10 points or something like that. Or there's a way to weight those scores that gives someone a chance. They'll still have a chance to qualify for that next stage. Because I do remember having worked with some Masters athletes that were real charged up about it, have a rough open and then be like, well, my season's over. And that's sort of a bummer because they would still do well in some of these events that you were alluding to, but they don't have the gas because it's like, who the fuck cares? Like, I'm not going. Why do I want to put this investment in? And, we talk with as coaches, like, hey, this is still something we want to put ourselves against and kind of test and see where we're at. But like anything to keep those athletes kind of hunkered in and like sucked into the sport is, I think it's a great thing. So finding a way to mathematically make the open sort of count, but not be the end all be all, whether or not you have a chance to participate is, something they're going to have to try to figure out. But I do think there's some way to do both things.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's a statistician's job.
Still no, statistician.
Statistician. Is it really?
Statistician. This, Ted, cut this and put this on Instagram. It's the best part of the podcast. I think we know where our ad break goes. All right, Misfits, just a quick break for our show sponsors. First and foremost, we are brought to you by ourselves. Misfit Athletics Phase 9 begins this Monday. And to make sure that every single person that wants to get into Misfit Open Prep can, to really kind of try it out, we are doing 2 weeks for free, both on our Plus and Pro subscriptions. That means that every single one of our programs is going to be available to you, teens, Masters, Anywhere, MFT, Hatchet, all that good stuff. That is all on the Pro tier. So you're going to be able to try that for free for 2 weeks if you sign up within a week of this show, maybe a couple days after that.
We are also brought to you by Pure Spectrum CBD. You can use the code word MISFIT to save on your first order. One thing I really, really like from them is their black label salve. All too often here, Hunter waxes me in the affiliate class, and then I go home and I'm just absolutely crushed. And I'm like,
eat it?
I just know the next day I'm going to be wrecked from it. So I, rub that on my knees, on my elbows, my wrists, any of those joints that Hunter says
Does it soak up your
do
tears?
better. Doesn't do tears, sorry. But definitely recommend it. Again, use the code word MISFIT to save on your first order. PureSpectrumCBD.com.
Save on all your orders with Misfit.
Who?
Save on all your orders with Misfit.
We can save on all your orders from Misfit. Love, Ted. We are also brought to you by Proper Fuel. If all of this open and quarterfinal and semifinal talk has got you ramped up into training mode, you're going to want 4 scoops of Proper Fuel. Protein, carbs, lights, Himalayan pink salt, fenugreek extract, creatine, everything you need to not carry around a gigantic hockey bag of supplements in one nice, very tasty, easily mixable protein supplement. Head to properfuel.co, use the code word MISFIT to save on your first order.
Last but not least, we are brought to you by Sharpen the Axe. Head to sharpentheaxeco.com and use the code word unprepared or the code Keala, Keala, to donate 10% of your order to the Keala Foundation. I am currently wearing one of the 2 versions of the Sunday crew, the softest, cushiest, most comfortable crew in the game.
She's
if
so
you're
smooth.
I was going to say tasty.
I was.
I also thought you were going to say the jug for Proper was tasty.
Jug.
All right. This is my favorite. This is my favorite thing to wear. Super comfortable. We've got the Little by Little. We've got the Misfit Bars crew. And there's all kinds of stuff there. I know that people get frustrated with how much stock we have, but we made sure to have enough stock, for the holidays, to get through winter with some good gear. So if you head to sharpentheaxeco.com again and use either the code word unprepared or Keala, you're going to find some really great stuff and you're going to be able to save a little bit of dough. All right, that's it. Back to the show. All right, so semifinals. We don't know anything, which is fun for the podcast because we get to say what we think should happen. There was the rumor that top 250 from the Open were going to move on to these things. If there were only 25 athletes at all 10, that would be fucking great. Because what you do when you take, from a statistical standpoint, we can handle that word.
Statistical standard.
When you take that group that they used to have at regionals, it wasn't necessarily the right amount of people for someone that gets an early lead to be messed with, right?
You didn't want to watch triple threes?
Talking about you two. You shouldn't. Neither of you should have been there. I'm just kidding.
What?
I'm just mad at both of you because I never made it. So
I should have been there. I'll be honest.
I was out of my league.
You were playing pistols?
Whee!
Come on, bro. You beat Ben Smith in the handstand walk.
Yeah, I
I
did.
thought you were going to say it.
Are you wearing your t-shirt that says that today?
Yeah, I think so. Find me, Ben. I'll send it to you. I know you're listening.
So that would be, so going all the way back to my point, I think that would be awesome. It'd be awesome to have that sort of, it's like, again, all I have is sports analogies because I spent the first 25 years of my life only watching or playing sports. You have, these leagues or conferences or divisions where everyone's good and the season matters the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Like it's fun to watch no matter what. And the more people that you have, if number 40 is nowhere near as good as like number 20, that's a problem.
Yeah.
It throws a wrench in it because, the guy or girl who's in, 10th place might be almost just as good as, let's say, 5 people per go, might be right there. like one event away from beating the person that's in 5th, but they can't get any help from the bottom. Every time they beat that person, they beat them by 2 minutes, but everyone else lost by 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Doesn't matter.
It's not going to matter. So I like the idea of combining the rumor with what we know as a reality and not having those be like 10 trillion heats. And like, because there's so many heats and because there's 19 people per affiliate cup team, you never know what's going on. And maybe the programming can't be exactly what they want it to be. They get pigeonholed because it's like, can we run, all these heats and all these divisions? And I think it would be nice for them to have, somewhere in that, I don't know, 20 to 25 athlete range per.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really cool.
I was going to say, I think we'll see something like 2 heats of 10 or 12, something like that. So you will have enough athletes to kind of create a little bit of that race. But, if it's only 5 or 10, you get someone who has a good weekend. Maybe they jump into like a spot that they shouldn't be or something. They don't have that like spacing to spread somebody out, or you get too many people and it's, you're watching triple threes, 4 heats in a row for 3 hours.
What's wrong with that? That's a great time.
It was a good time. But yeah.
Regionals Nate, I'm never going to get over that. Traveling around the country weekend after weekend, not enough sleep.
Damn, that guy did one more rep in 20 minutes.
Watching people do iron cross, muscle ups.
The good part to your point though of like, hey, the 40th athlete is not going to be that 20th athlete caliber. I think the nice thing is that people have gotten really fucking fit.
Correct.
It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same spread as
true.
we saw in 2000, mid 2000s, whatever. Mid 2010s. Not
mid 2000s.
In 2050, in the 2050s.
Okay, Sherb, this is a question for you.
Ooh.
How in the fuck are they going to decide who goes where?
Oh, Jesus Christ. What's funny is that they can't do it randomly, because I was actually thinking about this.
They can do it randomly, but then if that happens, can you tell Caroline that she's competing in China?
Asia. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about that. Like, what if there were let's say the 200, and there are 10, 20 person groups, and number 1, number 11, number 21, they all go and then compete at that one region. Then 2, 12,
they can't
22,
do that though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how do they create that balance? Because going back to the old regionals format, there'd be certain areas where, like you said, that there's 2 or 3 athletes who are well ahead of everybody else, and they just battle back and forth all weekend for 1, 2, and 3, and then it literally didn't matter from 3 on. Like, it just didn't matter. So how can they create a scenario where people can?
I have Childish Gambino's "This Is America" playing in my head right now because I know exactly how they're going to do it. But keep going.
Well, so that to me is basically trying to figure out, based upon the amount of signups, how many places that each region will get roughly. So let's say, I don't know, 40% of them are in the United States. That means there are 4 regionals in the United States. There are 30% in South America. They get 3.
But again, you're saying that they're going to have to try and plan events a couple weeks out.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that either. I mean, the only solution here in my brain so far is that if you're from an obscure area, you're traveling pretty far, not vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, back in Latin America back in the day, going to Texas to compete, same idea.
I think the bigger question is, how do you create enough separation that you don't have 5 game spots available for Fraser, Fikowski, Vellner, all the big name athletes. What we should have is probably at least 10 athletes that would theoretically come out of one division or one region. And
90% of the CrossFit Games lives in the state of Tennessee, between Nashville and Cookeville.
Right.
So it's if it is regional based,
how do we spread it out?
They all better move.
Yeah. How do you spread it out enough? Or do they potentially fund people? Do they use money and help fund athletes travel? It's not that many athletes.
I think that you could see something like that happening if someone, again, from an obscure area is asked, okay, you live in Sudan and you need to travel to London,
right,
or something like that. I can see where I even kind of know already that after everything that's happened in the world, that the community would rally around someone like that and get them there anyways.
Yeah, I mean, they've been trying to do that with Roman Krenikov for years. I mean, obviously he has an issue with getting in the United States, but like trying to get him to compete because
I'm talking more financial.
Oh, of
situation.
course. I'm just saying, like, we do want to. There are certain athletes who are out there who maybe haven't got a chance to test themselves against the best because of X, Y, or Z. The community wants that. We want to see who the fittest people are, regardless of the means to get them there. That is what we want to watch, and that's what we want to see. That's what we're hoping for every single year at the CrossFit Games, is that there's a race 1 through 3 in the men, 1 through 3 in the women, and 1 through 3 in the teams. How can they create that? And like, again, that might be something they do, is say, hey, here's a way to help you get to the CrossFit Games. And I don't see them, because of the focus on diversity and inclusion, like, get these people there so they can actually, one, grow the sport in their hometown, which is, I think, a side benefit of what Greg was trying to do the entire time, is like, how can we globalize the sport by getting people to care about it in countries where it's not super popular yet? But how do we get them there so the product is the best product it can be, which is, to me, their ultimate aim here. I mean, at least Dave's ultimate aim is to get the best product there and determine the fittest person.
They're also not going to. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what if they just counted them off? Number one after the quarterfinal, you go here. Number 2, you go here. Number 3, you go here.
Right, that's what he was.
That's kind of what I was saying. Yeah,
oh, okay,
it's like
got it.
Not like a
I thought
totally
you were saying
random assignment, but
yeah, based on your placing, it's just the top 10. Fill out the top or the 10
again.
regions,
But the problem with that is the people who travel the furthest are going to be the least likely to compete. Now, we don't know if there's any attrition rate. We don't know. Maybe 100% of them compete.
Yeah,
and that's great. But if we know that, then we know that they're going to prioritize your finish to where the geographic semifinal is, right? So maybe it's one of those things where, you were 25th, in this sort of thing, you were down you were one of the bottom from 225 to 250. Those people travel the furthest, that kind of thing. That could also be a possibility. Like, hey, probably not going to make it.
They rank you and give you choice based upon where you stack up on the leaderboard. So top 10% get first choice, next 10%.
It makes total sense. The problem with that idea is population centers.
True.
Like, there are massive population centers in the United States. Most people are along the coasts or, in the Midwest, closer to the lakes. Like, that's what's the issue with ideas like that. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, the new CEO is a data guy, organization guy. There's also the chance that they don't know yet.
I wouldn't.
Decent chance.
I think the kind of, to your point about him being having that mentality, like, let's get more people involved. Let's get more money into this thing. It would not surprise me to have the title sponsor from the week is just like, they threw in 10 grand or whatever to give the athletes to travel to that event. That would be a lot easier than CrossFit shelling
No. You
out
pay 10 grand and you get a Reebok patch.
Perfect.
That's dope.
Little throwback joke there. Yeah, I mean, it's insane that professional athletes pay to play. Like, that is crazy. And I understand that because there is no team technically. Like, it's not like the league pays for players.
No, yeah.
I mean, they do revenue sharing and things of that nature, which could be something,
tax.
that could lead to that. But like, the fact that, we pay for people to go places, but there aren't enough athletes attached to enough companies like us, especially if you get into the, that high of a number. Most of the companies that are willing to pay for someone to go somewhere, you're looking at, a roster of 10 to 15 athletes.
Maybe they get attached to a sponsor. Like, once you qualify out of the quarterfinal, it's like, hey, the top 5, you get your sponsor for the semifinal is Rogue. And then, like, the next 5 athletes you get sponsored by Pure Spectrum. The next 5 athletes you get sponsored by,
whoever.
Quicksilver. I don't fucking know.
Damn. Quicksilver, Billabong making a comeback.
Hunter over there. Come on. That's why Hunter's he's been working out a lot. He wants to see if he can get that Quicksilver sponsor. Whoa, a wetsuit for regionals? This is amazing.
Wait, I don't have to use this at all for my competing? Sick.
Nah, dog, it's the compression Maliello wish he had in 2009.
I mean, the solution to what you're referencing is just the idea that they bring in more sponsors and prize money is better. There's prize money all the way down through a certain point. Yeah. You get paid.
The bottom person gets refunded there.
Exactly. Well, you get your $20 back and first place gets whatever.
everybody at the CrossFit Games should be
$50,000 registration fee and a patch.
in a perfect world, everybody that goes to the CrossFit Games should be considered a professional athlete and should have a professional athlete's wage. And again, it's not something that happens overnight where they just go, hey, last year you made $200 at the CrossFit Games for, making it there. And this year it's going to be $30K, or whatever the number is. But I think there should be some way, some iteration to get them all. If you're going to be the spotlight that everyone looks at, like, you should be rewarded for being that spotlight and working that hard and getting some sort of livable wage, or at least allowing you to continue to do that, because the sport requires people to be able to come in and have that fire and want to compete. But also we've seen athletes come and go just based on the fact that either they mature or get older. Maybe they say, all right, it's time to start a family or get a career. So it'd be nice to see the opportunity for athletes to have a career in the sport that aren't the 1, 2, or 3 each year.
Is there a title sponsor?
I think, is it Reebok still for one more year?
2011 was the 10-year contract.
I thought it was one more year.
I thought it was 23.
No, it's definitely not 23. It's
22?
It's either over or it's this year's the last year.
I think this is the last year. What does Google say?
Want to give people dead
Ending
air
its association with CrossFit.
Sherb, what'd you have for breakfast, bro?
I don't eat breakfast.
Yeah, none of us did.
I had coffee. It was delicious.
How much coffee did you have?
Somewhere in the neighborhood about 6 cups, I'd say.
Is that like dad mode now?
Yeah.
You survive on caffeine?
Not totally survive on caffeine, but like Zion gets up at like 5:45, 6 some days, and it's just like, man, I'm not ready.
6 cups?
Yeah,
Ted, you don't drink 6 cups of coffee a day, do you?
Yeah, he does.
It's like, I have.
I've definitely drank more than that on the road. But
I think
Iceland?
I think it's just through the end of this year.
that makes more sense.
Through the end of 2020 or
Through the end
2021?
of 2020.
Okay.
It just says this was published in June of 2020, and this was around the time of
Ooh,
Glassman
new theory.
and-
That's why there
and
was
that
no
sort of
open.
thing.
There was no open in the calendar year of 2020, so that
they
they
didn't have
could
a title sponsor.
no, so they didn't
So
give
they
them the open.
didn't have to. Yeah, it says the Reebok has a 10-year exclusive deal that expires at the end of this year.
Yeah,
When
I
this
mean
was written,
2011.
2020.
So
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
So-
done.
and
So it's over.
Rosa said that when they asked him, because they asked him about
Yeah.
it, they said, "Will they have it?" And he said, "Probably." Basically,
Yeah.
Do they need it? I don't know. Would it help? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I think it's important for the sport. I mean, they can obviously do the model of having way more sponsors come in, but like, are you really going to be able to seed them in different ways where they care enough to pay the amount of money that Reebok was paying? I mean, Reebok was paying a lot of money, and royalties on stuff. Well, they paid some of the royalties, and they got sued and all that good stuff.
Shoe peddlers, I think is what they were called.
All right, so we've gone over what we know. We've gone over what we don't know. We played Rosa / Castro / that team for a little bit. Is there anything else that has to do with the season itself, the actual competing, that we haven't covered?
I mean, the last chance aggregate thing that we don't really know how that played out. I feel like we sort of touched on it, but we didn't really talk too much more about what it could mean for someone.
Aside from corruption, I think the best way to do it is to just pick people, right? Like, there's not going to be some perfect formula. Like, there are those moments at regionals that people really remembered this person missing. Austin Spencer, 0.54 seconds. Like, those are things like that to me where you can grab it and say, that makes way more sense, even if he was 5 points away than this person was 2. You know what I mean? They were never really in it mathematically. They couldn't, or whatever at the end. And I don't see because there were some issues with sanctionals last year. There were some issues with sanctionals, and I know so-and-so, my agent's this guy, or my coach is this guy, or my sponsor is this guy, and they have an in with whoever's running the competition. Oh, I can get you in, sort of.
There's no standardization at all.
There was no standardization. That being said, those people that got in belonged there, so it wasn't that ridiculous for them to be there, but at the same time, unfair to an unknown.
Yeah, they weren't
like, an up-and-comer sort of a thing. So, I don't think that could happen with HQ. Castro,
I don't.
Fucks given is -10 when it comes to like public opinion of who he would choose. I think it would be cool for them to just pick a number and they choose who it is.
like pick a random, like assign me and Sherb a 1 and a 2, and you just pick behind your back a 1 or a 2?
No. No.
You just said randomly.
He's picking us, bro. We're going to the CrossFit Games.
No,
High five.
pick a random number of athletes.
People.
Of total athletes.
Oh.
Pick a number. How many do you really need for people to get excited about the last chance qualifier? And then literally pick people.
Yeah.
Like, this was the best moment. This person did the best. Or like, damn it, we created another, 2012 Central East. There's 96 games athletes there, and we only took 5. Like, those are the situations where something like this matters.
Sure. Yeah, I guess it serves as one. It could be an exciting, like, actual last chance thing. 2, it's a little bit of a buffer in case the regional thing, like, that issue comes up.
Exactly.
I was just thinking, like, the 3 who just missed the cut from each region.
Right.
You go on to the next.
Yeah.
Like,
the only issue with that was this region stacked and was this region not?
So
How the test
yeah.
too? Yeah,
Right.
the test obviously influence who does.
I feel like it'll just be like that, and it'll be CrossFit Games.
It's with all of this stuff, like, none of this is concrete. This is so easy to play devil's advocate in everything that we're saying. Like, okay, they took top 5 and now they extended it to top 8, and that's not fair for you. You came in 9th, like, you should have come in 5th. Like, you're good. So giving extra places, giving like that, like, gimme that's out there, it doesn't matter that much how they do it in terms of whether it's quote unquote a good idea or not. You're just going to get something that's a little bit more fun for fans to watch if you handpick the people to make sure that they're right.
Also, from an athlete's perspective, that is a mental mind fuck. Just the duration of that season, and like, odds are you were scraping by, or maybe like you just had a bad weekend, but for that to extend another 2 weeks, and let's say that you do win that, now you've got to turn around. You've only got 4 weeks until the games, and it's like,
or what if you were?
That's a fucking nut roll for athletes.
What if you were fucking sick or something, or some shit happened to you during one of those first 3 weeks of the Open? You weren't able to compete at your natural ability, and they want to have that. I agree. I know you don't care, but I'm saying that there might be athletes out there that have something like that happen to them, and that's what allows them to say, all right, well, Hunter McIntyres of the world, come out here and compete and show us that you actually deserve to be here, and we'll throw you the bone and let you compete at the CrossFit Games.
Jake Paul.
Yeah, he's got the CrossFit Games.
What I was trying to think of.
So he chucking water bottles at Castro. I wouldn't recommend doing that. He goes to the ranch.
I'd watch.
I'd be scared to watch. All right. So last but not least here, we assume that 50 to 90% of the people listening to this podcast are misfits. What happens to programming, right? So we have a completely different season structure. We have had things in the past like the blog running concurrent with regionals prep or sanctionals prep. Now things are a little bit different. You've got enough programs where we don't necessarily need to deviate so much. You've got MFT, which, is sort of beginning to take shape like it used to, as this is a program for semifinals athletes. You've got Hatchet, quarterfinals athletes, and, people sort of, on the fence in that area. And then, Team Misfit and, all this other stuff. Having the teens and masters completely separate now makes it easier for us, again, if there are differences between those two, for that to sort of take place. So we have diversified our programs enough where it's not going to be, I think it's important that it's not confusing for people. I don't want people to feel like they're going through the season and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. We want to be able to say, hey, if you are a semifinals / games athlete, MFT, here it is. Go to the blog, click on MFT, you're good to go. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what we think you should be doing. There's going to be little nuances, like you're going to start your taper a week or two before someone else for semifinals, or your week 1 of games training will be a week or two late because of semifinals. Stuff like that's not that big of a deal. You click a link and download a PDF of, the programming you missed, things of that nature. Really, it's about just this general idea of what you talked about, which I don't know. It's exciting. I think it's exciting, the idea that you have to be able to go like professional athletes will train and during their off season, and then they have to practice during their season, sort of a thing. You have to be able to compete here, and then you got to compete again, and then you got to compete again. I think it's good for our sport and the growth of the sport. I think it's also a way for people to really start thinking about it as a sport. It's like, oh, okay, you got 6 months to prepare for this competition. What if you just had to be fit the whole time? Like, and that provides some nuance there. And programming structure, really, you take now, you're looking at something like only 4 phases during that 6-month off season. And you take the concepts that are in those phases, it's this phase, it's a aerobic running bias. And then this phase, it's, anaerobic rowing bias. You take biases towards certain lifts. And what we do for GPP is that becomes a rotation. You hit all of those things. And the sessions themselves change a little bit because you have to combine maybe weeks. So if you've got, you get to do 5x5 back squat every, twice a week or something like that in the off season. During the in season, you're looking at waves instead. There's certain nuance that changes it. But it's exciting to know that we now sort of have this clear cut. We got 6 months to really get you ready. And then we have 6 months where we're keeping you ready. Obviously, the goal is to improve, and you're going to improve GPP by doing a GPP program. That's not rocket science. But it's a new challenge. It's almost just a further iteration of how we have adapted in the last 4 or 5 years anyways. It's where things were trending. So basically, we as Misfit Athletics are going to try and make things as simple as possible for you. We don't want guesswork for athletes. We want athletes to show up at the gym with, sort of their marching orders. And that's when you can put the most effort into executing on the programming, as opposed to, pulling out a flow chart every time you go out there and being stressed out before you even pick up a barbell.
I was just going to say, let your execution of the program and your thought going into how to approach each day be your focus rather than the big picture stuff. Like, that is something that we spend countless hours in that office talking about, like, what is the best way to prepare these athletes? And obviously, when things change, we have to adapt and change with them. But we want to make it so that you guys can just jump into the programming, focusing on how you can grow from day to day, and let us kind of handle the big picture stuff. Because people are going to be a little bit concerned, like, hey, I wasn't able to go through the 6 squat phases that I went through last year, or I did this iteration of snatching that started from the hang and then to the floor and then triples and then power snatch. Like, there are things that kind of followed a pattern for years past, and those concepts still apply, but the way they're applied to you will change slightly. But that's something that we love to do in here, is talk about how do we rise to the challenge of what's new. And I really do think that it's going to be exciting for us to have opportunity to talk about how things have gone in the past historically, what's worked, what's not, and continue to iterate and develop our programming, because that's something that we are really constantly thinking about in that office.
And internally, there's conversations regularly, are we a programming company or are we a media company? And the symbiosis of those two ideas bring us to a point where, like, if you follow our programming, make sure that the content is also, it's almost part of the program, to be perfectly honest, because the thing that you just touched on, it depends on where you're at in your journey.
Of course.
Like, we coach a bunch of games athletes. They're trying to get a tiny bit better over and over and over and over. Whereas someone who needs to make a massive leap, like, that's why we have different programs. That's why we have weakness templates. If you're nowhere near making it to the semifinals, you can go download the volume squat template in May and do the volume squat template then. And this will not be the only time we're talking about this. So if you're like, the fuck are you guys talking about? Don't worry about it. We're going to keep going there over and over and over. But, like, it really depends on where you're at in your journey. The better you get, the more a traditional GPP type program is what you need. And if you're just not quite there yet, there's going to be options for you within that 6-month in-season period to go through that stuff. Like, we're going to make sure that that's possible for everybody.
I think too, for a lot of folks who are listening and follow the program and do it in such a way that is forcing them to, that is getting you fitter, while all of this long laundry list of calendar dates and everything might sound overwhelming, ultimately your season is still basically just 5 weeks long. A lot of you, I'd be willing to bet a really large portion of kind of dedicated Misfit followers will move on to that qualifier or the quarterfinal. So you've still got open prep and you've still got hopefully that individual quarterfinal. And by nature, it's going to be a lot of the things that you are already training anyway. We know, like, we prepare people for the open and the age group online qualifier all the time. And just by how those events are going to have to be done, like, they're probably not going to send you to a pool, in the in the quarterfinal. So you will be well prepared for both the open and the individual quarterfinal. And by the time that rolls around, hopefully long before that, we'll have a little bit more information on how to proceed over to the semifinal if that's somebody like you. And again, when we had the super regionals, there were 10 super regionals. Now there's 10 regions worldwide on 6 continents. So mathematically, it probably maybe not as many athletes as we saw back in 2016 and on, but like you don't worry about the unknowns right now. You just know about the open, you know about the individual quarterfinal, and that's all most of us need to worry about right now, and that's all we have enough information to worry about.
Right. My Misfit nerds out there wondering what the heck is going on immediately. Phase 9, easy peasy. It's 9 weeks long now. Primer week moves from week 6 to week 5, and you essentially just have 2 more weeks of phase 9 before you do your retest. So instead of week 7 being retest, week 9 is now retest. We also get an extra week, which we like. This is exciting. We get an extra week of, what we call the pretend open. You get to go into that schedule a little sooner. We have the thing where you rest on Wednesdays instead of Thursdays. We get an extra week to go through and really sort of get in the mindset of, and we'll have an entire podcast on this, but, your open workouts begins every Tuesday night. You got to be ready to rock every single Tuesday night to go in. So we get an extra week of preparing for that, which is exciting. Misfit Musing number 19. You can find it on the website. You can probably find it somewhere if you dig on Instagram. Dare them to give you more time. That's what we have here, right? You were nervous. You were like, man, I'm right on the edge. Is 7 weeks enough? You get 9 weeks now. You get 9 weeks of this, then you get that extra week going in, and, we're going to continue into that, really making sure that these are those in-season movements. So you get more time to get ready. You get more time to get better. And again, those other people who are already where you want to be, it is very, very hard for them to improve. They're really, working on the margins, and just, consistency is the name of the game for them. You have more time to catch up for them. Do not let that stress you out. Make sure that excites you. More time to get ready. Come on.
I mean, to me, when you say that, more time to get ready, that gives you, again, a chance to go back and say, I need to reflect and focus on me, because I can grow a ton over these next, 10 plus weeks. Like, there's a lot of time for that development to occur. But if you spend that entire time worrying about, it's 2 more weeks now, or I don't know if I'm doing the right program for right here and right now, you haven't bought in. You're not going to get what you're trying to get from your training, which is to prepare yourself for this, what I think is an extremely exciting season. We have more opportunity and more, while there are unknown, more opportunities to potentially compete and be involved in the sport of CrossFit, which is something that, drove us to be really excited about CrossFit early on. Is that, like, there's this sport element to this really fun way to get in shape. But, like, that to me is so exciting. So I was watching a Netflix special the other night. It's like, what did you do over the last 9 months? Did you learn any new habits, or did you watch Netflix the entire time? And, like, while you're sitting there watching Netflix, you're like, I kind of watch Netflix for a lot of this, but learn from that mistake. Don't let that happen to you in this situation where you wait too long. I also
watched Hulu, Disney Plus, Showtime, Prime Video, Discovery Plus.
How many subscriptions you got?
Mario Odyssey. I'm good.
Yeah.
I diversified in a big way.
True.
All right, ladies and gents, thank you for tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast, and thank you to our show sponsors. Head to purespectrumcbd.com and use the code word Misfit to save. Sharpentheaxeco.com, use the code word unprepared, or the code word Keala, Keala, to donate 10% of your order to the Keala Foundation. And Proper Fuel at properfuel.co and use the code word Misfit to save on your first order. As always, I'm at Misfit Coach on Instagram. Slide into those DMs. Let me know what you thought about the episode, and we'll see you next time.